Good morning. Today we'll see about dynamic host configuration protocol, that is DHCP. What is the need for DHCP protocol? We know that every host in an internet network is identified with the help of an IP address. The IP address has got two parts, namely net ID and host ID. The net ID part is used to uniquely identify the network to which the host is connected. So whenever your host changes its network or subnetwork, the net ID portion will change. If we want a network administrator to allocate an IP address to every host that changes its network, then the network admin should keep track of what are all the IP address that has been allocated, how many systems are there in the network, which is a difficult task. So we go for DHCP protocol, wherein the protocol itself will identify any new host that has been connected to its network and then will automatically allocate the IP address. This IP address will be frequently updated so that no two IP address is allocated for two different systems at the same time, and also whenever that IP address is not used anymore, that will be retrieved back. Now we'll see how this DHCP protocol operates. These slides have been taken from the textbook Skiller. Coming to DHCP protocol, what is the application of it? It simplifies the installation and maintenance of the network computers. It supplies the system with the IP address, DNS address, domain name, subnet mask, etc. It allows automatic integration of system into an internet. Especially it plays a very significant role when we consider mobile networks, because in mobile networks, whenever roaming is happening, the host is changing its network. So frequent updation of IP address is needed, and mobile IP is integrated with DHCP protocol to allocate this address. How it works? It works in the client server model. That is, a client will request a DHCP server for a IP address, and the DHCP server will provide a dynamic IP address to the client. So this is how the DHCP protocol works. You can see the list of commands which are sent by both the client and the server as well. You can see first, whenever a client is moving into a new network, it hears a periodically message from the server. Yes. So the client will send a DHCP discover message to discover any server that can provide an IP address to itself. So this DHCP discover message could be heard by several DHCP servers. The DHCP server will respond to this DHCP discover message with the help of a DHCP offer message, which consists of an IP address that can be allocated to that particular client. So a client sends a DHCP discover message, for which the server replies with the help of the DHCP offer message. Now the client has a privilege of choosing any one IP address which is offered by multiple DHCP servers. So it ends a DHCP request message as a reply to all the DHCP offered servers. So in this DHCP request message, it will convey whether it is accepting the IP address or not. So you can see in the left side it is rejecting the offer, and in the right side it is accepting the offer by setting certain options field. So once it is sending an acknowledgement to the server to which it is accepting the IP address, the particular server will confirm the configuration and then will send a DHCP acknowledge message. Once the DHCP acknowledge message is received by the client, then the client can continue to use that particular IP address for the specified amount of time which is specified by the DHCP server. So normally the DHCP server will update the IP address for certain period of time. It will allocate the IP address for certain period of time, after which if the client wishes to continue with the same IP address, it can send a message to the server. It is up to the server to allocate either the same IP address or it will allocate some other IP address. So in this way, every client is being offered by me an IP address from the DHCP server. After the client has used the IP address, and in case it is shifting to some other network and the DHCP server doesn't get any message from the client, then the same IP address can be allocated to some other system. In case the client knows that it is moving to some other network, it can send a message called as DHCP release to the server. It is an explicit message to the server asking it to release the IP address which has been granted to it. Even if it doesn't send an explicit release message, the DHCP server itself will expect a periodical acknowledgement from the client. If the periodical renewal message is not received by the client, then that particular IP address will be allocated to any other system. We shall see about DHCP characteristics. The DHCP server, it need not be a single server. There can be multiple servers that can allocate IP address to any requesting client. There is no restriction on the number of servers nor coordination between these servers. These servers not only provide the IP address but also provide other details about the DNS server and subnetting. Of course, DHCP, while allocating IP address in a foreign network, it does have some security issues. Thank you.